Good morning. The committee will come to order. I'd like to welcome our witnesses to this hearing entitled Denying Safe Havens, Homeland Security's Efforts to Counter Threats from Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia. Although Osama bin Laden is dead, al-Qaeda and its affiliates are not. They are hiding in safe havens, areas of relative security that are exploited by terrorists to recruit, train, raise funds, and plan operations. The Department of State has identified 13 countries acting as safe havens today. Today we examine 3 that we believe pose the most serious threat to the United States, and that is Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia. And what is the U.S. government doing to deny these places as a refuge for terrorists? Osama bin Laden was the most wanted terrorist, yet he lived comfortably in Abbottabad, Pakistan, in a town that serves as a headquarters for frontier force and infantry regiments, only 31 miles from Islamabad, contrary to our beliefs that he was hiding in some cave in the Fatah or the frontier. He was not hiding in a cave. He was not in the mountains. His compound was less than 1 mile, or about half the distance from here to the Washington Monument, from the Pakistan Military Academy, or their equivalent of West Point, where over 2,000 cadets are trained, 600 instructors teach, and approximately 2,000 representatives from other countries visit and receive training each year. CNN recently reported that Osama bin Laden sought a deal with Pakistan in which he would not attack Pakistan in exchange for protection. At this point, we do not know who in the Pakistani government was aware of Osama bin Laden's presence. But I am certain that some Pakistan officials knew that he was living in plain sight, not exactly the average house in an ordinary neighborhood. It stuck out like a sore thumb. It is difficult to determine how many terrorist groups operate out of Pakistan, but we do know al-Qaeda and the Afghan Taliban and the Pakistani Taliban and other groups use this country as a staging ground for attacks on U.S. troops to kill American citizens and terrorize countries throughout the world. For example, Mullah Omar, the spiritual leader of the Taliban, is believed to be in Pakistan. Anwar al-Awlaki is hiding in Yemen. He is the equivalent of the bin Laden of the internet. He provides spiritual guidance and recruits terrorists via YouTube and Facebook. He has inspired more than 24 terror plots against the United States over the past 2 years. The Fort Hood shooter, Nadal Hassan, emailed al-Awlaki on numerous occasions before he killed 13 people, including soldiers, and wounding 30 others. Abdul Muttalib, the Christmas bomber, was in contact with al-Awlaki before attempting to set off an explosive on board Northwest Flight 254, an international flight bound for Detroit. With the death of bin Laden, many experts believe al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, based in Yemen, will attempt to become the successor. Because there is no central authority in Somalia, al-Qaeda and other associated terrorist groups will also use it as a base of operations to attack Western targets. According to the 2009 report on terrorism issued by the National Counterterrorism Center, al-Shabaab is also considered by U.S. officials as one of the most deadly terrorist groups in the world. Not only is Somalia a base for terrorists, but pirates operating off the coast are a threat to international shipping. This has contributed to an increase in shipping costs and the delivery of food aid shipments. 90% of the world's food programs shipments into Somalia arrive by sea and ships and now require a military escort. Numerous documents have addressed the problem of terrorist safe havens. The 9/11 Commission's report to Congress concluded the safe haven of Afghanistan allowed al-Qaeda operational space to gather recruits and build logistical networks to conduct attacks against the United States. The Obama administration's national security strategy states we will deny safe havens and strengthen at-risk states. This NSS points out a whole out of a whole of government approach that is needed to include information sharing, law enforcement cooperation, and establishing new practices to counter terrorists. The document also requires the United States to help countries build capacities for responsible governance and security. Existing U.S. law, the Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004 and the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2010 requires the administration to produce a list of what each agency is doing to deny terrorists safe havens. The Government Accountability Office, or GAO, examined the U.S. government approach and concluded, number one, that safe havens are a threat to the United States, and number two, a more comprehensive list of agency efforts is needed so Congress can adequately oversee and assess how the United States is denying safe havens to terrorists. In other words, GAO concludes that this administration is not complying with these requirements. We currently have an incomplete picture of what each of these countries is doing to eliminate safe havens, what they are doing to prevent the proliferation and tracking of weapons of mass destruction, and what they are doing to cooperate with U.S. counterterrorism officials. This knowledge is vital to Congress's ability to craft foreign policy that holds countries accountable for aiding terrorists by looking the other way. I applaud our government's efforts, but more has to be done. Eliminating the terrorist base of operations where they have the ability to recruit, train, and plan their operations is a key to preventing future attacks on American soil. Osama bin Laden orchestrated the 9/11 attacks from his safe haven in Afghanistan. Anwar al-Awlaki has been able to inspire more than 24 plots against the United States over the past 2 years, including the Fort Hood shootings and the Christmas bomber. This hearing will assess the role of the U.S. government in denying the terrorists the ability to reconstitute. And before I yield my time to the ranking member, I do want to thank the brave men and women of our armed services, the civilians in the Departments of State and Homeland Security, and those across government agencies who serve overseas. They constitute our best defense against the terrorists who want to kill us. And with that, I yield and recognize the ranking member of this committee, Mr. Keating.